Okay, let's make a start. I'm just gonna let's record. Right. So welcome. Thank you for joining us this morning for our FDA Export Operations webinar on understanding international logistics to emerging markets. Delighted to be joined by Jade Blackburn today of WTA Group. WTA Group have been FDA members for a good few years now, providing international logistics services. Today she's going to be looking at logistics to 3 further afield markets, including China, Australia, and the Middle East. So just to let you know, if you do have any questions for Jade, just pop them in the chat box, and we can come to them at the end of the session. The session is being recorded and the slides will be sent out to everybody after the webinar, along with Jade's contact details. So over to you, Jade.
Hi, morning everybody. Thank you for joining me today. So a brief introduction to who I am. We always like to obviously explain who we are people. So I'm head of sales at World Transport Agency. My 3 passions in life today for this session is obviously travel. I like to do a lot of traveling, so that includes obviously supporting our customers further afield. Eating out, I'm a big advocate of eating out and trying new foods. And obviously my third one is, of course, supporting UK food and drink businesses with their export businesses, exports as well. So, but yeah, so that's a bit brief about me. So a brief introduction for WTA. So we have over 100 years in international freight. Our first shipment actually was a road freight trailer of ice from Switzerland to the UK. So we're well versed with obviously the requirements of moving food and beverages. But within the company, we have an outstanding food and drink department supporting some of the UK's most famous brands, including Premier Foods, Jordan's Ryvita, and JDE, to name but a few. We also have an alcohol bond as well, so we're able to support companies moving their alcohol using our bond. And we believe we've got the best experts in the business within our teams, and we are supported by the best technology as well. So we're a tech-first company. We because of our independent nature, we're very agile as well, so we're able to offer support that's suitable for your businesses and obviously for different specific markets as well. So why are we here today? So obviously Mel's touched on it. We're obviously going to explore some exciting markets. We ultimately want to inspire export growth. We want to obviously impart some knowledge about how to optimize international logistics, and also to remove logistical barriers as well that may be in place as well. So because of the brief nature of the meeting, we're only touching on a few markets, but we do have obviously within the company knowledge and support of other markets, if there's particular markets you're interested in discussing. So China, well, there's a lot of figures on the slide, but China presents an outstanding opportunity for UK food and drink exporters for several reasons. It's now the world's biggest importer of food and drink in the world, having overtaken the US in 2023. Imports of food and drink rose 185% between 2013 and 2022, from $49 billion to $140 billion. So it's now the second largest non-EU market for food and drink, behind only the USA. UK food and drink exports to China have increased 18.3% since 2018 to 315.8 million in 2023. So this is still a low percentage of total China food imports, meaning there's huge scope for growth. There's obviously several factors driving the exciting opportunities into the Chinese market. So it's obviously touched on often. Obviously, the growing middle class means there's more consumer interest in the international branded food, and they have the resources to pay a premium for it. China is a country which has had many food scandals over the years. So UK products have a reputation for good food quality, high standards and safety, and vital for attracting the Chinese consumers. We are seeing, obviously, Chinese consumers are also increasingly health and environmentally conscious, which areas where UK brands are really strong and have a strong reputation already. And the top, so we have lifted obviously the top categories for food that are imported here as well. So it was, meat being a primary one, grain, your fruit, your dairy, and your vegetables as well. Not to mention, obviously, the alcohol as a huge growth of a huge favourable import in the market. So when we offer tips for market entry, we really put out there to obviously focus on specific provinces or cities initially, because China's huge. So that maybe focusing on Hong Kong, for example, which is more Western influence, trying to take on all of China is far too big and overwhelming. So speaking with distributors who can cover a smaller part of the area and have a strong success in the area, you're more likely to get a significant volume from a single customer or region. And remember as well that individual provinces on their own are massive markets. Guangdong, for example, has a population of over 126 million, all on its own. That's pretty much, well, nearly twice the size of the UK market as alone. There's also within the different regions, obviously, different languages and taste preferences as well, and that's something. But if you attack the whole market as a whole, you're not likely to see the same level of success in the same region. I note that shipping costs with exporting to China are way down on the cost of importing. It's considered a backhaul route, which means that the vessels are actually mostly empty going back from the UK to China. Therefore, it's the cost is minimal compared to the import costs there. So it is a good and optimal route to actually explore. Because of the vast importing portfolio the UK has from China, third to only Germany and the USA, there are extremely regular shipping services heading that way. There's several per week, so it really does support. There really is opportunity if you support you exporting the other way around as opposed to importing. So, now this is somewhat a slightly scary slide, but however, it is really important that it's discussed today. So it highlights some of the regulations that you need to be aware of when shipping food to China. So we've included the data showing the size of the total retail market there, comparable to the USA, just to act as a bit of inspiration, obviously, for the opportunities available. But for exporting to China, food needs to be compliant with its general food safety laws, import and export commodity inspection laws, and Chinese standards for food additives. Then the packaging needs to be compliant with the Chinese food labelling laws as well, which obviously means it needs to be in Chinese. It is one of the reasons why we do have a team based in China to support us, to make sure that we are fully compliant before we start to move a shipment, and we've dotted all our I's ahead of the shipment leaving the UK. This is just some of the regulations to be aware of to access the Chinese market, but you don't need to worry. It doesn't need to be that overwhelming, because providers such as ourselves, where we have offices and customer exports in the country, we're able to guide you through those steps ahead of it being moved, and obviously make sure that you have got the right support in terms of the labelling laws, whether it's not within in-house, but have contacts there to be able to do that. It's important ahead of obviously setting those shipments off, that's resolved ahead of that movement. There's no doubt this part of exporting to China is challenging, obviously, particularly with the language barrier, and it is one of the biggest objections businesses have. But the graph really does show it is an area of extraordinary opportunity. So overcoming this challenge could have absolutely transformational consequences on your business. So it's one that we really do want to encourage and support, and obviously the wider teams as well. The second market we focus on, we're touching on, is obviously Australia, which instantly is easier. Obviously, we've not got the language barrier there straight away. So, but following on from the introduction of the free trade agreement last year, the UK now has better trading terms with Australia than ever before, which presents a fantastic trading opportunity with the nation. It's already showing benefit with a 7.1% increase in UK food and drink exports to Australia in the first part of 2024. That's nearly at £200 million. So it really does underline the opportunities which have been created by this free trade deal. Obviously, it's an easier market to enter because of the shared language and the huge cultural similarities between the two nations, which does help in the export processes. And UK products are again trusted and have a strong reputation owing to these extensive cultural links as well. As a country in the southern hemisphere, Australia has obviously the opposite seasonal patterns to the UK. So it does mean that the seasonal patterns for shipping does expand if you enter the Australian market, and it can support more a stable yearly income. For example, obviously ice cream sellers might experience a dip in the UK from December to February, but that's when obviously ice cream is red hot in Australia as well. So it does allow you to level your peaks and troughs in terms of market sales. So it is a market that's well worth establishing and have good connections with the UK. At WTA, we're very active on this trade lane every day, and in the last 12 months, we've supported exporters with over 1,000 shipments to Australia. Furthermore, plenty of logistic providers, such as ourselves, have in-market presence in the country, which you can use to really easily establish vital connections and customers and distributors, which again is hugely important. We have numerous success stories of brands exporting products to Australia, one of which is the largest food producer in the UK, who have been exporting to Australia for over 10 years. So in that time, we've supported them in winning and growing business and growing their product range heading to that nation, including their latest brand launch, which launched there earlier this year. So really, from our own experiences, we are seeing a huge amount of success in that market as a standalone market. Obviously, I've touched on the free trade agreement, but if we want to unpack it in a little bit more detail, so before the agreement, the UK didn't have a free trade agreement with Australia as part of the EU, and the EU still does not have one. Therefore, the UK businesses can enjoy better trading terms with Australia than ever before, and better trading terms than our EU rivals. So it has brought the removal of tariffs on all goods exporting to Australia from the UK, and there are additional deregulations for the SMEs too, the specifics of which varies depending on your exact quantity claim and company size. So it's also easier to invest and work in the country as a result of the deal. So all of this combines to make trade with Australia easier than ever before. And at a time when the economy is forecasted to grow exponentially over the coming decades. So Australia is forecasted to be a top 10 global economy by 2050, with some major economies such as China extremely reliant on its natural resources like iron ore. So it's going from strength to strength. So the third market we're touching on is the USA and Canada. So, of course, there are huge opportunities still for the UK food and drink producers. Firstly, we can obviously comment on the shared language again and cultural similarities. But with East Coast destinations, there's also not too much of a time difference, which makes trade and cooperation easier. And again, targeting a specific part of that destination and choosing a distributor with strong local links is the best place to start. So the US is the UK's biggest non-EU export destination. That includes food and drink. In fact, it's only behind France and Ireland as part of an export partner for food and drink. So we likely don't need to tell you the stats which back up the size and wealth of the economy, but the USA has a large and affluent and diverse population, presenting opportunities across a range of product types. Infrastructure is among the best in the world, and the political relationship is obviously stable. We're also seeing big growth in white label products exported to the USA, but that's just one example in the last 12 months where we've supported businesses with over 1,500 shipments to the USA alone. We do have our own in-house customs brokers within WTA based over there. So, one of my colleagues, Natalia, she really became interested in learning about brokerage and becoming a customs entry writer. And she claims, we can verify that she's an expert in clearing alcohol and warehouse withdrawals with, and she calls herself a food clearance extraordinaire, which is some accolade because it is customs is like a different language, I would say. So, but if going with your own brand into the US market, being a novelty British product will help, but you should not be, that shouldn't be your entire brand strategy. You need to plan selling points beyond that, as it's not strong enough just to have a strong brand proposition on its own to find its success. It's not food and drink, but it's a great example. But we work with Oxford Plastics, who make site safety products. So, and whenever they've gone past some roadworks, you're likely to have seen them. So I know it's a different sector for you, but they have built sustainability as a core USP in recent years, and as a result of that, they've really seen that as a reason for why their export growth in the US has gone from 200,000 to over 5 million during that period. So they've found a key brand messaging and a key proposition that that is what's making them successful in that market. So Canada too offers an exciting proposition which shares many characteristics that the USA has as well. Free from organic and specialty and health food products are really finding success there. So like with many European markets as well, but there is also demand for snack and convenience food, and that's just from what we're seeing from our customers and our partners. One of the food companies that we work with is Ludwig Food. So it's a great example of the diversity of the US markets and how you can really find extraordinary success with a particular niche. So our USA office supports them with the export of Polish food and drink to the specialist supermarkets across Illinois and Indiana, serving the large Polish American population that lives there. So they're exporting a huge variety of food and drinks with over 7,500 different items per year, and often more than 100 commodity codes per container, which all need to be cleared at customs. But despite those challenges and despite those numbers, they are finding an enormous success in serving what you'd think is quite a niche area of the US market. But they have been working with us for over 10 years. So it's a perfect example of how you find a right partnership and a right niche. You can really find and develop a success in that market. The final market we're touching on is the UAE. So it is a growing opportunity for the UK exporters. It's one of the biggest reasons for this is that obviously it hosts 1.5 million tourists every year, and 250,000 Brits live over there. So a huge export market, expat market, sorry, not export market. With their low tax rates, as we all know about, there are consumers who are really willing to splash out on some home comforts, which UK companies can really lucratively provide. Trading links between the regions with both sea and air freight are regular. Jebel Ali Port in Dubai is one of the most regions best connected. Meanwhile, English, one of the most major languages in the area as well, so it's easier to do business there. UAE also provides a vital gateway to other countries with the Gulf Cooperation Council, such as Qatar and Saudi Arabia. And these economies are forecasted to grow at an average rate of 4.1% into 2025, and all boast a very high GDP per capita. So we're seeing obviously the trading relationship between the UK and UAE is very stable, with over 5,000 companies, finding success in this low tax wealthy market, including food giants such as Jordan's Ryvita, who we continue to support in exporting to this region. Support which we're looking to expand on, as we've recently opened an office there in Dubai, headed up by one of our co-CEO, John Summers. So we're finding having boots on the ground a real benefit in actually supporting our clients, seeing growing in that market. Steps have been made in recent years as well to deregulate international investment in the area in UAE. And in 2020, the government implemented a range of business-friendly policies, including the introduction of 100% foreign ownership. We're also seeing tax incentives and streamlined business registration processes for many sectors as well, which supports exporting growth. But remember, with all of these options, there is additional support available from the WTA, Departments of Business and International Trade, and of course the FDEA as well. So they'll be able to provide more specific support in that area. So really focusing on obviously optimizing the logistics for international success. So we do really believe that distance shouldn't be a barrier for food and drink producers when exporting. The world is well connected in 2024, and we support firms getting perishable goods from every corner of the globe. And it's just about maintaining and gaining a good understanding of how to optimize your logistics so that good food quality is maintained, costs are minimized. And that's what I'm about to start discussing, and obviously the steps for optimizing these those logistics. So we've tried to put it into quite a simple slide of obviously ranking, but the first step is really understanding the core benefits and drawbacks of each of the transport methods, which we've ranked here quite visually for you. So we've chosen to omit road freight, as this generally serves as a different purposes, either for the final mile or for shorter shipments, shorter shipping distance, such as delivery to the EU. But most people don't realise, as we come across, as we discuss it with them, that the majority of air freight is actually transported on planes with people on, so just on passenger jets. So anywhere with a good passenger transport link is well served by air freight. So that includes all of the countries we have covered, but it is possible to get your goods anywhere in the world within 7 days using air freight, and for it to be refrigerated and insulated or in insulated packaging as well, depending obviously what your requirements are. Therefore, if your goods are perishable, this is generally the preferred option for maximising shelf life. Air freight shipments are also possible in smaller quantities, which can help shippers getting started without committing to a full shipping container. Whilst it is possible to ship food and drink by filling only part of a shipping container, it is harder to find a road haulier who will do that for you, because road hauliers don't like to carry containers containing different food groups, as the customs hold up a risk of too great. Sea freight is the slowest transportation option, but it is considerably cheaper, certainly compared to air, and most environmentally friendly than its counterparts, making it the most popular. The preferred option for those shipping goods where shipping by sea is the preferred option for those shipping goods where there is a long shelf life, so grains or long shelf life products. I can't think of any right now. Understanding these benefits and drawbacks is really a key part of success in international logistics. So it's really worth considering each of these when deciding the best requirements, and also factoring that in as you scale your project as well, as scale your business as you develop. So what you might do at the beginning using for smaller volumes might not be where you end up when you develop a really strong hold in that market. Leveraging technology in order to achieve visibility is a new and vital part of demystifying your logistics and making it easier to access long distance markets with confidence that your goods are going to arrive in a good condition. Here we have obviously we've listed for illustrative purposes examples of the sheer range of data points you could track with a visibility tool. People assume your visibility is just about seeing where your container is on a map, but it's actually much more than that. So the data it can give you is vital for food and drink producers for clarity and reassurance of the condition the goods are going to get there, particularly those with perishable goods. So it can be leveraged to completely remove the guesswork of transportation whilst providing transparency of your costs. The amounts of these tools in recent years are game-changing for the food and drink producers looking to export long distances, because it really successfully utilises the visibility is a really competitive advantage. Being able to track delays and temperature along the way of your goods is paramount for your information and confidence in that route as well. Better yet, obviously logistics service providers shouldn't be charging for those as a technical insight. We offer the WTA platform, and any shipper with us gets access to that information via a cloud-based platform. And it allows you to log in from anywhere, and you've got visibility of your shipments and that confidence that it's going to arrive in the condition that it needs to. Visibility and visibility tools is a big long topic in itself, but I'll happily obviously go through with anybody in detail if they would like to talk about it and how it could enhance obviously your journey and obviously exporting goods around the world. So just reach out afterwards. So when obviously you're optimizing logistics again, when exporting to new markets, the relationships with your freight forwarder and logistics partner is vital, as you will be much better off by pursuing more than a transaction relationship. So what we obviously like to establish is long-term, obviously like we do with Ludwig, a long-standing relationship where we understand what your growth aspirations are. One where you're working together to successfully achieve success in a new market. Picking a reputable partner is vital to change your chances of success as a whole, and will really help in scrambling a lot of the uncertainty and worries around long distance international trade. Firstly, they also need to have a global partner network as well. It's impossible for a company to cover the entire globe. Therefore, they need to have a broad partner network in the markets that you're delivering to, which can then deliver you the local market knowledge that you need for those markets, for example, Australia and Canada. You also want to find a partner that's got a high Trustpilot score or a good customer feedback as well. So, it's a really good way of checking your partner's credibility. Global offices help and adds to that global partner network, furthering that local market knowledge and the in-house expertise in certain markets. Certainly supporting with the language knowledge as well. And it is a great sign if your freight forwarding is leading the conversation on world of logistics as well. So do they have, to obviously check that they have experience within that, whether they have news articles and guidance on shipments and movement as well. Because they are a great learning resources for you to tap into, but also clear and indisputable indicator that the freight forwarder knows what they're talking about. We've obviously created a cold chain checklist as well. So in terms of optimizing logistics, obviously it's only relevant for those that have got cold chain requirements, but to ensure success in transportation of perishable goods, there's extra steps that can be followed. So first, and perhaps most obviously, you need to consider you obviously be using reefer containers, which allow you to store goods at refrigerated and frozen temperatures. Secondly, using the correct packaging and labelling for the goods as well. Well insulated and quality packaging can protect goods from losing their core temperatures at junctions in transportation. So factoring in whether that needs to be changed mid-shipment as well, if it's going on a cross trade or along a route. And the packaging can be sustainable too. So if you're looking to meet environmental targets, so we work with a company called Wool, who provide insulated packaging made entirely from sheep's wool. So there's really and it allows you to obviously transport goods and keep them cool. So it's really good in terms of different options out there, and without using refrigerated or frozen reefers. Proper labelling goes far in ensuring handlers understand the cargo and treat it appropriately as well. Obviously, it goes without saying, making sure it has the right labels and the universal signage as well. But that needs to come alongside thorough training of staff, so they understand how to ensure the food and drink remains in a pristine condition. It's likely this isn't possible across the entire supply chain, but can be for the areas that you have influence over. For example, your internal teams and the distributor that you're delivering to as well, to make sure that they're fully aware of and have experience and qualifications in that area. Then, partnered with a visibility tool, you can really achieve route optimization. So no better way than making sure the product quality is obviously minimizing the transit times. So then obviously, of course, temperature monitoring as well can be tracked, as obviously I've just covered on the visibility side, but it really does play a key role in obviously ensuring product quality along the way. And you can have also have a full record of the temperature conditions en route to show the customer to evidence that you've delivered it, organised the delivering in a pristine condition. So, moving on to warehousing, where many of them have the same checklists to ensure obviously quality products, product quality remains rather. The key detail for ensuring product quality remains in storage is to look for a BRCGS certification. That means that the warehouse has been accredited to have the highest possible standards if it's handling perishable items. So the certification is adopted by over 22,000 sites in 130 countries worldwide. So it has developed with input from the industry and provides a framework to manage product safety, integrity, legality, and quality in the food and the food ingredient manufacturing industry. So logistic providers with a specialist in food should be able to provide you with warehouse options that are BRCGS accredited across the world as well. It's really important that that stage isn't omitted. Obviously not going just picking price for a good storage and warehouse options. So as a summary, see we've touched on four markets really as a whistle stop tour. So obviously China having a huge market and growing middle class. Obviously Australia has the new free trade agreement in place, so that is supporting growth and opportunity for you and for the other exporters. And the UAE with its growing wealthy expat and tourist population. And from our perspective, obviously the key logistic considerations here to really understand your transport options and the benefits and drawbacks of each, not purely being price driven. That's not always scalable, and also not going to allow you to obviously get best out of your logistics solutions. But leverage obviously modern technology to visibility and data insight. Make sure you've got access to that, and make sure so you can track your data, and it's good for your customers to see that as well. And to work with an experienced and reputable freight forwarder partner. So it goes without saying that obviously we can offer much broader and more specific support and guidance on these different markets. So if you do need any help or more detail on anything, just reach out. And obviously we can put you in touch with the in-house teams as well, if there's particular issues that you need resolving or support on as a whole. So I seem to have gone through that very quickly. I have no idea what the time is, but I've seem to have rushed through it. Sorry, Malabat, I don't know what time it is, but yeah,
that's great. They're all very clear and lots of information. So thank you for that. I just had one question regarding the Red Sea crisis, and if you can update on how that, or if that's still affecting international shipping routes to the further flung destinations.
Yeah, so it is still ongoing. Is it still less of so reported in the news, obviously, with the impacts and freight, but we do add on extra time in terms of our shipping as it goes around the Cape of Good Hope. The shipping lines at the beginning they seem to have issues with space and availability. What we are finding now is there's much more feeder vessels that are actually, so the vessels are making lesser stops into ports, but they're sending there's more shipments going out to meet those vessels, which is improve that service. So we are still getting a Red Sea surcharge as well from some lines. So there is additional costs in there as they factor in that lead time as well. But it is much more stable in terms of
Yeah,
that market. It we're not servicing the Red Sea route and that route as a whole. So as you know. So, but we have been offering and have been supporting a lot of clients with multimodal approach as well. So whether it's a air to the Middle East and then Middle East to sea to actually catch vessels that route to actually reduce the time reaching those further flung markets. Or also using rail as well as options as an alternative, just to reduce the shipping times as well. So we're seeing a much more
yeah.
demand there in those modes.
And those kind of modes of where there's different modes of transport used, is that more cost effective than sort of sending it direct by air if you're doing half and half?
Yeah, it's much more cost. It's more cost effective than doing direct by air, but the benefit is just the time and
Yeah,
the confidence and the obviously it's that halfway house of cutting down the costs, but also reducing that shipping time as well. So
yeah,
um yeah, it really depends on where the markets are, but particularly serving the Australian, even in
yeah.
some respects China as well. We've seen vessels flights going non-direct.
Mhm.
So
Okay. We haven't got any messages in the chat box. If anybody does have any logistical questions for Jade, then if you want to just put your microphone off mute. Oh, I can see somebody's unmuted themselves. Magdalena?
Hi, how are you?
Hi.
hi.
Did you have a question for Jade?
No, no questions. I think that was quite good, very knowledgeable. So yeah, thank you for that. That was really good.
Oh, thanks.
Okay, Jade will be at Cial
Yes.
in Paris. So if you did want to meet up with her to discuss how WTA can help you with your logistics, then I will be sending round the webinar slides, the recording, and Jade's contact details, so you can arrange to meet her at Cial if you're going out there. Just a note that FDEA will also be at Cial for the entirety of the show. There's around, I think, 55 UK companies on the UK Pavilion, which has been organised by PS8, and they're dotted around in different clusters throughout the different sector halls. FDA's information desk will be in the confectionery hall, which is stand 5 in hall 5B, and our stand number is P265. If you do go to the show, come and say hello. Somebody will be there the entirety of the show, taking inquiries from international buyers, etc. And just a couple of events to let you know about that are coming up. We have a webinar with our service provider called Johnston Carmichael, who'll be looking at tax considerations for exporters on the 29th of October. Also post Cial, we have our in-market partner in France, Sutralis, on the 6th of November, giving us some insights on how to manage a French retail listing, which hopefully any exhibitors exhibiting at Cial will get. And then we also, Jade did briefly talk about commodity codes and customs, etc. We have Tariff Tell talking about the pitfalls and really understanding the detail in commodity codes. That's later on in November, 20th of November. All of these you can join via the FDEA membership portal on the events page. And just a final plug for the Export Awards. If you haven't got your tickets now yet, please do go ahead and purchase these for the 5th of December. The content we're just putting in place for the morning sessions looking really good. We've got some international insights, and we'll have some case studies from exporters, and obviously the export awards will be announced over lunch. So that looks like it will be a really great day, lots of networking opportunities as well. So like I said, thank you very much for joining us this morning, and look out for my email with Jade's details and the slides from today's presentation. And thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.